Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to gray and gloomy London. I am literally filming this at like 2:15 in the afternoon, and you would think it's the middle of the night, but we're not gonna let that get us down. And in fact, on the spirit of January in London, I wanted to film a video on what life is like in January in London. So whether you're a tourist planning to come at the beginning of the year, or you're a local and want to get some more inspiration for some nice things to do when the weather is a bit hit and miss, sometimes quite gloomy, sometimes quite sunny, then hopefully this video will give you a little bit of inspo. And hey, if you're just a bit nosy and you want to know what I've been up to, then this is definitely the video for you. So let's jump in. So I started my new year with one of my favorite pastimes, favorite traditions, whatever you want to call it. I always make a pact with myself that rain or shine, I'm gonna get out on New Year's Day and go for a walk. And I go to a different place every time. And honestly, this New Year's Day really tested this mantra of mine, because it was absolutely pouring rain, but I made my way to Regent's Park and I bribed myself with a cup of coffee, had a really lovely long walk in the rain, and you know what? I felt so much better for it afterwards. So I do think in general, if you're planning a trip to London in January, getting out and walking, rain or shine, is a great thing to do. I also had the loveliest long walk along the Thames path, and I went all the way down by where kind of Tower Bridge is and the City Hall, and I walked all the way down to Southwark Cathedral, which is a historic cathedral right next to Borough Market. And I had never been inside before, and it was so stunning, and it's completely free to go visit. So if you've never done this, I would highly recommend it. I think in general, South Bank, whether it's during the day or it actually gets dark at about 4:30 p.m. in London in January. So South Bank actually makes for a nice walk at night because so much of it is lit up. Now I wouldn't go so late at night, but if we're talking like 4:30, 5, 6 p.m., it should be reasonably safe, and it makes for just a beautiful place to kind of stroll. And also it's really wonderful to see London all lit up at night. So probably the most random thing that happened to me in London in January is I was on my way to Sloane Square in Chelsea to meet a friend for a walk, and I was one stop away. I think I was at South Kensington, and all of a sudden people descend from every door of the tube, and they're only wearing their underwear. And I realized very quickly, I was like, oh my goodness, I am in the middle of the famous no pants subway ride. So if you're not familiar with UK culture, pants are underwear. So be careful with your language when you come and visit. And this is a community organized thing. I'm sure you can find it online and when they're gonna do it next year if you wanted to. It's a very like wholesome, spirited thing, even though people are in their underwear. It was really, really cold out, but somehow I ended up in the tube car with all of the news media and like bare butts in my face. And I'm wearing my North Face huge oversized coat, like hat, gloves, scarf. I could not be more covered up. And I literally have like woman with a thong and a bare butt in front of my face while I'm sitting down on the tube. It was so funny. And I just thought, oh my goodness, I'm probably gonna end up in the background of some of like the videos and photos of the news media. And I did. So you just never know what's gonna happen to you when you go out and about in London. So another great thing that I discovered in January is I went to the Moco Museum, which is a relatively new museum in London. It's located over by Marble Arch, and it's essentially an independent museum with modern, contemporary, and street art. And it's quite cool. So I would definitely recommend a visit if you're interested in those kind of art. There's, I think, 3 different floors, and there's a lot of great art to see, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So would definitely recommend that. I think especially when it's kind of cold and gloomy or rainy in January in London, museums make for a great way to spend the day and to catch up with a friend. And I went with a friend, like we met in Hyde Park beforehand for a tea, then we walked over to the Moco, and then we went for dinner after. So like, what a great day and quality time together. So just giving you a little inspo. Another great walk that I always recommend to locals and tourists alike is to stroll along the Regent's Canal. And I went on an especially gray and gloomy day, but you know what? There's something kind of like eerie but romantic about it in kind of the gray. So definitely one for you to check out. Another art exhibition that I went to is actually more of like an art fair that you can buy art from, and it's called the London Art Fair. It's closed now, but it was at the Business Design Center in Islington by the Angel Station, and this was massive. And a really fun way to spend a day out with a friend, browsing the many galleries and kind of imagining like what kind of art you might want to fill in your home. So definitely another one to mark on your calendar as an annual event, because I also thoroughly enjoyed it. So a wonderful surprise happened to me in January, where one day I got home from work and I had a Bloom and Wild parcel through my letterbox in my door. So Bloom and Wild, if you're not familiar with it, it's a UK company, and they specialize in these like letterbox flowers, which essentially like they're designed to like be deliverable when you're not home. So it's almost like flat pack flowers, I guess. And they have a different bouquet every month. You can get subscriptions for it, but it's actually such a wonderful gift. So I thoroughly just enjoyed the surprise. I always have flowers in my house, and I love this experience, especially with like the sticker that goes, "Shh, your flowers are sleeping," because basically they kind of arrive almost looking like a little wilted, but the whole point is that they perk up as soon as you arrange them and put the flower food in the water. And then you also get to have the fun of like learning how to arrange the flowers. So you have to do like a little bit of work in here. But since I love that, I got to work. I was trimming, I was following the instructions for the arranging, learning about the different flowers that were in my bouquet. It was like a very like lovely educational experience. And it was also like a bit of a test, kind of trying to, you know, see if I could follow their instructions and make something beautiful. And here is my finished bouquet, and I think I did a pretty decent job. What do you think? But such a pretty assortment of pinks and purples and whites and greens, and it's really lasted for such a long time because of the way they give you like extra flower food and tell you like how often to change the water. So I will be carrying forward some of these tips, and I am very tempted to subscribe myself. So another delivery that I ordered and paid for myself came from Will Powders, which is also a UK company. It's actually from I think like Leeds or like the north of the UK, I think. I might be wrong with that one, but I saw their founder or listened to their founder on a podcast, and it sounded right up my alley because essentially they've made this protein powder that is essentially like bone broth protein powder, which I know is like probably not going to be everyone's cup of tea. So I bought the bone broth protein powder, and I also bought their collagen peptides, which are also bovine, come from the cow, because what I liked about their collagen peptides, because I actually really do like the Hunter and Gather collagen creamer for my coffee at home, but because I travel so much, I liked that their collagen packets come in little sachets that I can bring for travel. So I thought I would order theirs for like when I travel, maybe not so much for every day at home. So yeah, I got the vanilla, it's like vanilla and white chocolate flavored protein powder. And it comes in this like huge canister. The only critique I would say is for 25 grams of protein powder, it's only like 16 grams of protein, which I think is a little light on the protein side, but I did love the ethos of like no dairy in it. It's essentially bone broth as protein, so I wanted to give it a try. I immediately was like, I am making a smoothie with this. So I tucked right in. I wanted to give it a good old sniff test as well, just to see what do I think of this, and thought it smelled pretty good. I gave it the thumbs up, and then I decided just to make a very simple smoothie. So one of my smoothie hacks is I buy a bunch of bananas when they're ripe. I will peel them and just put them in little freezer bags, and I break them up by hand. So that way I actually find like it kind of tastes like ice cream with this, like it's like the consistency of ice cream with the smoothie then, depending on how much liquid you use. So I put the bananas in my NutriBullet blender. I measured out the 25 grams of protein powder. That's been a fun thing since moving to the UK is we just use like measuring spoons or measuring cups in the US, but so much is done by food scale and grams in the UK. So I popped that on in there. And then I always like a little bit of cinnamon in my smoothies. I'm pretty obsessed with cinnamon, if I'm honest with you. So I put a really good healthy dose of that in there. And then I just topped it off with water. So I wanted to really get an idea. You know, obviously a banana is sweet and a cinnamon adds a little bit of sweetness, but I didn't want to add any other kind of liquid in there that would add sweetness to it. So I wanted to like try the protein powder. So yeah, so I whizzed it all up in the NutriBullet, and which is really fast to do. And then it was time to give it a try. So smoothie complete, it was time for the taste test. To be fair, I just made this as like a snack before dinner because I was so hungry. I had gotten my hair done that day and I hadn't eaten lunch. So my verdict on it was, I think it's really good. It's definitely a little bit on the sweet side, so it's definitely like dessert where I'm not really used to having a lot of sugar these days. So that was a little bit of an adjustment for me, but I did enjoy it. I will keep using it, but I think the other protein powder I was using was like very unsweetened. So what I would love, Will Powders, is maybe you could introduce another flavor that's like less sweet or even like an unflavored variety, because I would really love to try that. And maybe even if you did an unflavored variety, then I could mix the more sweeter one, like 10 grams of the more sweeter one with 10 grams of unflavored, because I think that might be more my speed than like the really sweet one. But I'm guessing they went more for like mass market appeal than like Jessica, who's been trying to curb her sugar cravings appeal. So another great thing that I did in January is I went to an event called Innovate X that some of my former colleagues and their new agency put on. It was so awesome to get back to business events. So professionally, I work in marketing in-house and as a consultant, and I also have written 2 business books on brand storytelling. So I always love getting out to events to hear other companies and founders and marketers telling their stories. And this one was great because they had a panel of a bunch of, you know, businesses that I consume from, like Lucky St. Beer. Then we also had someone from Ocado on the panel. And no joke, I actually tried Cricket. There's a company out of Cambridge called Yumbug. And I tried Cricket Bolognese. Or no, what is it? No, it was chili con cricket. I mean, hilarious, right? Actually, so good, can't taste the cricket. So that was really cool. And then we had James Watt, the founder of BrewDog, speaking and doing a fireside kind of Q&A chat. And I've heard him speak many times, like on video and interviews, but it was really, I was literally like arm's distance from him on the stage. Because of course we were like those kids sitting in the front row. And it was really wonderful to hear his story with BrewDog, because something he's done really well is like these unimaginably creative PR stunts, and that's been a lot of how they do their storytelling. And also he talked about a few kind of crises and things he's overcome financially with the business that I also found really interesting, so much so that I'm giving a keynote speech in Latvia soon. And I used one of his stories as one of my examples. So you never know when inspiration is going to strike. So it was really great to get back and out in the industry to some great marketing events. And on that note, I also actually have a business YouTube channel that I'd like to do some more of this year. There are videos on there of some of my old speeches and information about my books there. But I would like to do more kind of marketing and storytelling educational content. So I will leave the channel link down below if that's interesting to you to subscribe to. All right, so one thing I tend to do a lot in London is go out to eat. I do cook a lot at home, but I do love, I think away sometimes, especially as we are getting older, we're not like going out for drinks as much as we are like meeting up for a meal. So I tried a couple great restaurants in London in January. Some I've been to before, some are new ones, and I want to just give you the rundown because if you're looking for some exciting new places to try, then you might enjoy these restaurants. And the first up is Franco Manca, which is an excellent sourdough pizzeria. I had like the spicy salami pizza. So good, definitely get it. It's just a really great, inexpensive spot to go to. We went to the Covent Garden location, but they have so many other locations across the city. So definitely one to check out with your friends. I also need to give an honorable shout out to Gail's because I think I went on quite a few occasions in January and had some really lovely lattes and flat whites there. Always a great spot for coffee. Another great one to check out is the newly opened The Barbary in Notting Hill. Now I've been a few times and it is excellent. We had the pork chop, we had the, I think it's like a coffee rubbed chicken. The cauliflower is insane. You have to get the cauliflower. I would say for me, I found the pork chop so-so, but my friend really loves it. I love this like coffee roasted chicken thigh. For me, every time I go there, I've got to get that and the cauliflower, and maybe I'll try some of the other sides. But yeah, it's just such a great spot. The sommelier is wonderful. Definitely get him to recommend some of the wine for you. Then another great spot I went to is the Ivy over by Tower Bridge. I was meeting a friend. I had the shepherd's pie, which was so good. And there was so much tableside presentation. I had the sticky toffee pudding for dessert. And look at this, like with the smoke and the, I mean, you know, lunch and a show here. And the food is always excellent at the Ivy, so you can't go wrong with that. Another great spot to check out is Megan's. It also has a few locations. We went to the Battersea one near the power station. We had a Lucky Saint and a couple snacks. Honestly, I thought the calamari was average, but what's really good that I would recommend that you try, they have hummus there, but then they have this hummus option with all like the nuts and the seeds and the pomegranates. Oh my goodness, with like the flatbreads. If you just want something snacky and reasonably healthy, that was so good and I would highly recommend it. Now I also need to give another honorable mention to number 32 in Clapham Old Town. I went for brunch there and I just had like the classic eggs on sourdough with poached eggs. I was like, eggs on sourdough with poached eggs. I heard myself. You just can't go wrong with that. So a really great spot. Another one I went to on a really fun girls' night is Oriole in Covent Garden. They have great cocktails. They did a spicy margarita for me. I had the roasted trout, which was excellent. And what's really fun about this restaurant is they also have like live music on the weekends, but they do charge you for it. I'll get back to that in a second. I need to give a special shout out for this pumpkin dish. It was like pumpkin with a green apple ice cream and tamarind and sambal and all these spices. It was like the best thing I had in January. I just want to go back and order 3 of them as my main dish. It was so sinfully good. Oh, all the right notes. And then yeah, they had live jazz on Saturday night. They do, I think it's like a 10 or 12 pound per person surcharge. It says it on the menu, so check before you go. But it was really fun to have a little bit of live music with the girls' night, with the cocktails, with the food. Super, super fun. And then I ended the month, so the month started out super gloomy. We had snow, we had freezing cold, but we also had some really gorgeous sunny days with blue skies, and they weren't so cold. Like on this day, I actually played tennis, so it was warm enough for that. So, you know, if you're thinking of coming to London in January, it's not all doom and gloom. You can get some really, really gorgeous days as well. But I think that would be the advice I would give is if you do think you want to come to London in January, prepare for everything. I would say bring a heavy winter coat. It can be anywhere from like in the 30-degree Fahrenheit range to like the 50-degree Fahrenheit range. You just don't know what you're gonna get. We had snow, we had rain, we had gloom, we had bright sunshine, and throughout it all, I was walking, I was playing tennis, you know, getting out and about and seeing friends. So a really great start to the new year, and I really hope that you liked this video. Leave a comment, let me know, did you like it? Would you like me to do one of these every month? So leave that comment down below. That really helps me decide what kind of videos to make on this channel. If you like the video, also hit the like button. That really means the world to me. And I would love it if you would consider subscribing and joining me on this wonderful YouTube journey. So thanks again for tuning in, and I will see you soon. And all links will be down below as usual. Bye.